This week we hosted the Wordle-like jam, a game jam all about creating your best games in the style of Wordle, one of the most popular daily games of all time. We were expecting to get some interesting spins on the genre, maybe clever tie-ins to other media like MC-Doll, or maybe some humorous games like Jeff Goldblum. Instead, our jam got hijacked by developers determined to create the most unplayable, most frustrating, and most painful Wordle experiences of all time. Here's what happened. Real quick, let's pause and explain the rules, or at least the intended rules, of the Wordle-like jam. It was real simple. Make a game where you repeatedly guess what the final answer is. Use the hints from your guess to make your next guess, and so on and so forth. As long as there was a single final answer, your game is valid. Entries would be judged on visuals, creativity, and challenge, which in hindsight may have been a mistake to encourage participants to make the most painful games possible. It all started with Slidle. "I've spent a lot of time looking at bad UI lately" was perhaps the worst comment someone who has to play all of these games can get, and Slidle definitely delivered. Rather than use a keyboard, every set of letters from A to ZZZZZ is represented by a number from 0 to 11,881,375, and you change that number using a slider. It takes a very long time to reach precise words because eventually you have to use the plus or minus buttons, which slows you down massively. Fortunately, this game does let you check answers that aren't real words, because otherwise this might have genuinely taken days to complete. Once I discovered that I could use the scroll wheel on the slider, it did make it marginally quicker. My final time to reach the word times was 3 minutes and 37 seconds. In a very similar fashion to Slidle, the worst Wordle has 2 buttons, up and down. And just like Slidle, it takes you an age to reach the word you're thinking of. A slider lets you change the speed of the buttons, but in true bad UI fashion, this is one of the most inefficient ways to play Wordle. Bonus points for the Balatro background though. I played this game for 11 minutes straight, and I'm pretty sure the word was either suing or using, but at 11 minutes of holding down the button I realised it was going to take hours to reach either of those answers, so I gave up. These Wordles aren't that bad, I hear you say. They're just a bit slow to play. Yeah, sure. At least no one added captures to Wordle. Oh wait, Flash it did with Rewordle. This time, Wordle has a capture every time you want to make a guess. Not a normal capture though, no, it's another Wordle within the capture. This is arguably the most sensible and game-like take on the bad Wordle genre so far, but at least it's not just testing your patience by wasting time like the previous 2 games. You actually have to work out another Wordle within the captures, which is cool. I will say the captures felt like you didn't really get a hint from the image, which could make a cool addition to the game if that were added, but at the end of the day this is still a very, very cool submission. Clockle actually managed to almost physically frustrate me. On the surface it's not actually that bad, you just guess the time on a clock, except you have to manually wind the clock back and forth. Even though it is a little arthritis inducing, fortunately there's only 4 digits on a clock, so you only have to guess 0 through 9 4 times. It's actually a relatively quick and easy game, but still a very interesting take on what you can do with the bad Wordle genre. For all you gambling addicts, perhaps Gambledle will stretch that itch. I'm not sure if the crossover between gamblers and people who play Wordle every day is very big, but if it exists, this is sure to fill the gap. Spinning a slot machine to get a random selection of letters is a dope idea, and the animations and visuals are incredibly clean. I mean, just watch those letters spin when you pull the lever. Fortunately, this game includes a notes page to keep track of what letters you find, because I probably wouldn't be able to keep track of them otherwise. All in all, this is a much more satisfying entry to the bad Wordle genre. We actually had some great, genuine entries too. Soul's Wordle is a game after my own heart. You could say I am a bit of a Dark Souls fan. It has you guessing weapons and shields from Dark Souls 1, feeding you information as you go along. It has been quite a while since I've played Dark Souls 1, so a couple of rounds did require a bit of refreshing from the wiki to remember the names of every shield in the game, but altogether this is a really nice way to tie in existing media to the genre. Jordle is actually a really nice Wordle-like too. The premise isn't necessarily a unique one, but it's very well presented, very satisfying animations as the results are revealed, which is a credit to the developer. I actually found it surprisingly hard to get the answer to some of these, as 6 guesses did feel a little tough if you had a country in Asia for example, just because there's so many to choose from, but to be fair I am pretty awful at geography, so that probably didn't help my case. Couldn't let you guys have all the fun, so I quickly put together the ugliest version of Wordle I could. The letters are all over the place, nothing is lined up, the colours hurt your eyes, and to make it all worse, Every time you finally catch a letter, you get a pop-up ad. As enjoyable as it is to make a game where the people playing it will suffer, it is actually a huge pain to playtest these games, so I don't really understand how the developers of rage bait games managed to do it without going insane, but it actually was a lot of fun putting this together. A huge thanks to everyone who took part, and congratulations to our prize winners. You can play all of these games on itch, the links will be in the description, and if you'd like to get involved in future jams or just share your work, come and join the Discord.